welcome to Real Shame. It's the show where we review movies that we haven't seen that we call from our list of shames, or we pull from our list of shames. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
And earlier in the week, we talked about a political-ish, someone rising from the crowd that has a face.
Yes, a face that rose from the crowd.
That was, guess,
a face in the crowd.
A face in the crowd. And we picked another movie to go with that. What movie did we pick?
The Candidate.
The Candidate. So let's get into that.
All right, Bill McKay is an idealistic lawyer who is tasked with running against the seemingly unbeatable opponent, Mr. Crocker Jarman, for the United States Senate in the 1972 film The Candidate.
Marvin wants me to go into politics.
What else is new? For what office?
Senator?
Well, why not? If he really put his mind to it. But that means you'd have to register. He never has, you know.
Hasn't been any reason. Well, I hope you keep that a secret.
Unless you took it seriously.
Look, the point is, you can go with the things you believe in. For openers, you've got credibility. You've got the name.
What do you mean the name? You're not going to bring my father into this.
Okay, we won't.
He's got the looks.
Right.
And he's got the power.
What does that mean?
You know what that means.
No, I don't.
Well, you gentlemen will excuse me. I have to remove some film from the bathtub before it rots.
You're saying I can say what I want, do what I want, go where I please.
That's right. Here's your guarantee.
I lose.
That's it. So what are you worried about? You're free, McKay. You don't have a chance, so say what you want. It's just between you and the public. The question is whether you can put your ass on the line.
Now the question is whether it's worth it.
Well, thanks for the beer.
So The Candidate is directed by a guy named Michael Ritchie. It stars Robert Redford. He had worked with Robert Redford in a movie called Downhill Racer, I think 3 years, I think maybe, before this. Apparently they had a good working relationship, so they did this movie together. Michael Ritchie would go on to do movies like Bad News Bears. He did both Fletch movies, and Fletch Lives, yes. He did The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
And he did a movie that I mentioned that I watched sometime last year called Digstown with Louis Gossett Jr. and James Woods. Great movie where Louis Gossett Jr. has to fight 10 guys in one day in the boxing ring. It's a fun movie. It's taken from a screenplay by a man named Jeremy Larner. And interestingly enough, this was released almost 2 weeks after the Watergate Hotel break-in. So this movie doesn't deal with Watergate or anything like that. Obviously, how could it? Because it happened as this movie was being released. But it's kind of funny, I think, the timing of that. They do mention Nixon in the movie at one point.
Yeah.
But it stars Robert Redford, as I mentioned. It stars Melvin Douglas as his father, John McKay. We saw Melvin Douglas in a Halloween movie. He played a senator. Funny enough, because in this movie, I think he was the one-time governor of California. Yeah. But in the movie that we saw him in was The Changeling. He was the senator. Yeah, in that movie. And then Peter Boyle, who we saw in While You Were Sleeping.
Peter Boyle, man, whoa! It's interesting seeing him young and with a beard.
Younger, yeah, but still no hair.
Yeah.
Peter Boyle plays Marvin, and a guy named Don Porter plays Crocker Jarman. Don Porter was Gidget's father. Yes, Sally Field, Gidget's father on that show. Kenneth Tobey has a very small role. He was in The Thing from Another World. He's the star. Yeah. And also was in a very brief part in The Howling at the very beginning. He's one of the cops. And finally, it has a very small cameo from Natalie Wood.
As herself.
Yeah, as herself, exactly. But Natalie Wood and Robert Redford had done a couple of movies together before this. So, yeah, interesting.
This was after Maria, right?
After West Side Story, yes. All right, so Candidate is another movie just like Facing the Crowd. I think probably this is my third time to see it, but you've never seen it, right?
Never seen it.
Okay.
No.
So again, as we're filming this, we're not quite to the inauguration. That's next week,
That's
but
right.
by the time this airs, it will have already happened. Just saying that. That's why we kind of picked two political-ish movies,
Yeah.
because Facing the Crowd is not really a political movie. But what were your thoughts on the Candidate, starring Robert Redford?
Starring Robert Redford. I thought it was okay. Maybe it just was an off week for me for movies. It didn't really work for me that much. Again, like A Face in the Crowd is, I can intellectually understand it and appreciate it, but just watching it, I didn't get a whole lot out of it. I didn't really think Robert Redford was like that magnetic, or he wasn't very captivating. And I know he kind of starts off like bumbling a little bit in the way that he doesn't really know how to be a political person. So you see him a lot like not working, not capturing everyone's attention like he should, and stuff like that. And maybe that just kind of like made it to where it just was really hard to kind of latch on his character. But he wasn't like Robert Redford to me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, some movies he's just like magnetic in, and he's just like hard to take your eyes off him. But in this movie, I just thought he was, you know, not that captivating. So it was just okay for me. I don't, you know, reading the synopsis is different than how I felt about the movie, because basically for this movie is he kind of sells his soul a little bit, right? In order to kind of gain political capital, he kind of like ends up just kind of like doing things he normally wouldn't kind of do, or selling out a little bit, I think. And I think that change is I think the shift is gradual, both in the movie and like gradual from where he is. He doesn't go from like one end to the other end. He kind of goes from here to here. And to me, it didn't make for a very good story, because that shift was so gradual. I think they were trying to go for a more realistic portrayal. And I think I said during A Face of the Crowd, I wish it was a little bit, you know, you said it was too melodramatic, but it was too over the top. And I guess in this one, it just kind of fell in the other way, where it was just so like, you know, cinema verite, like a piece of life, like this could really happen, that it didn't really feel like a movie to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I just thought it was good. I can intellectualize and appreciate it on that level, but just for a movie, it was just okay. So you've seen it a couple times. Where do you fall on The Candidate?
I like this movie a lot. Some people describe it as a satire. I don't think it's a satire at all. I think, like what you said is true. I think that they do kind of try and make it more true to life.
Yeah.
They begin by taking so basically Peter Boyle, and I didn't mention Alan Garfield. He's also in the movie. They both are kind of the strategists for what ends up being Bill McKay, who's Robert Redford's character, Bill McKay's campaign. But they need somebody to run against Crocker Jarman.
Yep.
And they know nobody
Terrible
can
name.
beat this guy. I like to say, they know nobody can beat Crocker Jarman. So they just pick Robert Redford, basically. He's a charismatic guy. His father was once the governor of California. They're in California. His father was once the governor of California. And so obviously before I continue with the synopsis, I want to ask you, obviously there's some kind of animosity between him and his father.
Yeah.
At one point he goes to see him in the movie to kind of get his endorsement, because up till that point, his father has not weighed in.
Well, he hadn't weighed in, but then he kind of started...
Well, they
started hinting that he was going to go with the other guy.
Yeah, so the Alan Garfield and Peter Boyle's characters kind of say, the fact that your father hasn't really come out and endorsed you makes everybody think he's going to endorse Crocker Jarman.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to get his endorsement. You've got to. So he goes to see him, and obviously there's some animosity between them. Now, one thing about it is he's divorced from Robert Redford's mother, because he's with some, his girlfriend or whatever. So I think there's some animosity because of that. But I don't know, and every time I've seen this, I haven't really noticed. Do you think that his father is of a different political party than what he was running? Like, he was running for Democrat. Do you think his father was maybe the Republican governor of California? I don't think it ever comes out and says that in the movie, but I wonder if that was like a point of contention between them. I wonder if that's why there's kind of a rift. I don't know. I mean, I'm just speculating.
I think it is.
And if you know, you can write a comment.
I think I got that vibe from it, but I think the biggest thing is that I guess, you know, Bill McKay thinks ill of his dad just because maybe the choices his dad made in the office or that kind of
he
stuff.
He wasn't there for him as a kid.
He wasn't there
because
for him.
He was always off running for
because
kind of political office.
In the end, his dad says, you know, now you're a political guy or now you're a politician, right? So it kind of makes me feel like their big conflict was that maybe his dad wasn't truthful or his dad was too much of a politician. And his dad's like, well, look where you are. You're where I was kind of thing. So that's where I can definitely see the different political party. Yeah. Especially because it's like dad goes hunting and it has that kind of like those strokes of what we would think of like as a conservative Republican and 20, you know, kind of thought and mindset. So I do kind of see that they kind of give him those kind of strokes of that and that he runs, you know, Democrat. So I can see that. But I think mostly he just has issues with his dad, probably because he saw his dad as like two-faced or too much of a politician or never there, that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, and I agree definitely with what you're saying. I mean, I think his father probably was part of the political machine from the get-go. Yeah. And obviously this movie, you know, kind of takes him through that transition. Because Bill McKay, when he starts, what I love about the movie is they pick Bill McKay to run against Crocker Jarman because they know Bill McKay's going to lose. And he even gives him a little matchbook. And he's like, here's your guarantee. And on it are written the words, you lose. So they don't ever expect this guy to win, which I think is hilarious.
That reminded me of Citizen Kane. Because then in Citizen Kane, he's like, let's frame that. Or was that Citizen Kane or was that a different movie?
Well, he writes the kind of like, this is my promise to you.
And he's like,
he
says,
I want to frame that. Yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
That's true. But no, so Bill McKay, he starts off wanting to be basically an honest politician and wanting to say things that come from the heart. He doesn't want Peter Boyle and Alan Garfield to tell him what to say. He wants to get out there and be authentic. And they're like, okay, fine. But then eventually he starts to see that if he's going to, because he doesn't want to lose, you know, I mean, he really does want to beat Crocker Jarman because he doesn't agree with Crocker Jarman's, you know, stances on things. So he finds that he has to, whether he likes it or not, he has to play the game. You know, he has to play the game. I mean, it's just how it is. And I feel like, you know, that probably happens a lot in real life. You have people that, you know, if you've ever seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington with Jimmy Stewart or something like that, you have people that they have the public's best interests in heart. They want to be authentic. They don't want to be, you know, affected or speak in an affected tone. They want to be legitimate. And so they start off being that way, but they quickly find you've got to play like all these other men and women that are playing the game. You have to play by the same rules. Yeah. So you have to be fake to some degree. You have to be false to some degree. And I'm sure it kills them inside, but eventually they just get used to it. Yeah. I think in this, I don't think that in this movie, Robert Redford becomes soulless or anything like that. I mean, quite frankly, I don't think that at all. I mean, but he does do just enough to where he does start to gain traction in the polls. He does get the endorsement from his father, so that helps him a great deal. And his father's kind of political connections. He meets with Kenneth Tobey, who's like an important guy in the movie, although he's late to that meeting because he's actually having an affair in this movie. And it is lightly brushed.
I like you put subtle.
It is subtle because they don't.
So apparent though.
But they never ever really address it at all. You see that girl that he's having an affair with a couple of times, but that's it. Yeah. You never. I don't think you ever even hear her voice. You see her whisper in his ear, and then when he's late for the meeting with Kenneth Tobey, he's late because he's coming out of the hotel room and she comes out behind him or whatever. So, but I mean that part of the story, I find that so interesting. They don't make a big deal out of it in the story at all, which, you know, is different because I would think in any other movie that would be like his wife would find out
that would be like a big B story or something like that.
But in this movie, it's like it's so. I mean, yes, it's. I put subtly meaning that they don't beat you over the head with the fact that he's having an affair. So if you're not paying much attention, you might miss it, like because they just don't make a big deal out of it. But
I think
go ahead.
I think for the changing thing, the that comes to my mind is his view on busing, right? So in the beginning, he's all about like
for it.
He's all for it, and then like towards the end, they're like, well, you got to kind of eliminate that busing thing because it's not polling well or whatever. And so he like kind of like starts eliminating. So you can see how he's kind of like adjusting his speech to speak to the most broad of kind of people and bring them all in under his tent.
It's interesting when he has before he has the debate with Crocker Jarman earlier in the movie, they've got their videotapes that they've got, which seems so quaint, but it's the 1970s. I love it. But they've got them, kind of paused. They've got these three different televisions.
I love the three different televisions.
Yeah, the three different televisions. They've got them paused. But they show him kind of the political ads or whatever, and he's like, well, what about when I was at the clinic and I was talking about, what about that? He wants to put in these real issues that really mean something to people, and they're like, that doesn't play well.
Yeah, they play
it, and there's like a baby crying, and the lady's like telling him, you don't know what you're talking about. So they're like, yeah, we can't use that. So it's so interesting to see him kind of go from this idealistic young politician who wants to do everything in such an authentic way and reach the people in a natural way, not just telling them what they want to hear, and just ever so subtly they go along. And when he finally does have his debate with Crocker Jarman, he gives a lot of non-answers, as politicians do. They both do, he and Crocker Jarman. And then towards the end of the debate, he finally starts to break out of that. And he's like, no, I want to talk about what I want to talk about. We're not talking about the real issues. And Alan Garfield is pissed. And he's going to go tell him off, basically like, you can't do that. But that's when his father shows up. And then they're like, oh, great. His father showed up to save the day. Now he's going to endorse him, and he's going to become, the next politician or whatever. But I find the movie to work really, really well, I think. I mean, I don't think the movie is amazing. It's not, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I find it very watchable. I like kind of where it ends up. I like the ending of the film when he has one. He basically doesn't know what to do, and that's the last thing in the movie. Yeah. He gets because this whole time he's been guided by these strategists. He says, hey, I need to talk to you. So they finally find a room where they can talk for 5 seconds, but then people are beating on the door, and he's like, what do we do now? And the guy's like, what? What? He's like, what do we do now? What do we do now? And that's the end. What do you do now?
That reminded me of them in that bathroom or broom closet, and the guy banging on the door.
Yeah. He's like, get out of here. Yeah. Somebody's in here.
Did you read in the trivia that the screenwriter Jeremy Lardner used to write political speeches, and he wrote for who's that, Eugene McCarthy back in 1968?
I did read that. Yes. Yeah. And apparently some of the events that happened in the movie, like him getting punched in the face, like the guy hands him a hot dog and like a drink.
That's awesome.
Apparently that really happened in real life. Not to Eugene McCarthy, but it happened to somebody.
Both his hands.
Yeah, occupy both his hands so he can slug him. Yeah, things like that actually happen in real life. But yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting movie. It's not, again, I don't see it as a satire. Maybe you watch it, you do see it as a satire. I feel like it's played pretty straight, but I feel like it works. It's a nice kind of overlooked, to me, 70s film. I don't think it gets a lot of buzz or.
I don't even think it's out on Blu-ray.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least not in the States.
Because it's on Amazon Prime, right? Or no, I watched it on HBO Max.
Yeah, I think I've got a DVD copy. I think is what I watched, something like that. But yeah, I don't think it's not on Blu-ray, at least not in the States. It might be some other region, but it's not over here. So yeah, it's definitely, I feel like one of those kind of overlooked. I don't know if I describe it as a gem, but it's an overlooked film. Yeah. And I think it's worth watching. I
agree with you on that. It's definitely worth watching.
It won one Oscar for Best Original Screenplay written by Jeremy Lardner, and it was nominated for Best Sound of all things.
Interesting.
But yeah, it didn't win that. It's 88% fresh with a 74% audience score. Siskel and Ebert, again, not applicable, but Malton gives it 3 stars.
All right.
So. That's everything you want to know about the candidate.
It's everything you want to know about Bill McKay. Bill McKay is okay.
For a better way, try Bill McKay.
He's just okay. Okay. And to follow that up, on our Wednesday episodes, we always like to answer viewers' questions. And since we're in January, we're starting the year out. And we don't actually know. We have an idea what's going to be released this year. But as with 2020, who knows what the pandemic's going to do. So, but in light of that, the viewer question is, what movies are we looking forward to this year? So let's pretend that everything that's going to come out, that says it's going to come out this year, will come out this year. And what are we kind of looking forward to?
Are we looking forward to?
I know we have, I know we kind of have the top one the same. And you and I last year both did our Bond marathons.
We
and
sure did.
I've been looking. I think Cary Fukunaga is a great director. He directed the first season of True Detective and did really well with that. And, he he didn't end up directing the It remake, but he was on the beginning part of that, and I think he actually drove a lot of that, which is why I think the first It is better than It Chapter 2, because I think Cary Fukunaga did a lot to that. So I'm looking forward to his Bond movie. I think he's a very competent storyteller and director, and I think he's going to do a great job with this. And
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
We're looking forward to No Time to Die, provided it doesn't get pushed to 2022.
Yep. What else is on your list, buddy?
I wrote down Candyman, although I wasn't crazy about the trailer because I'm not crazy about the Say My Name weird use of Destiny's Child Say My Name in that. But I do like the original Candyman a lot. We did it around Halloween time. Again, the sequels are trash from what I recall, but I'm willing to give this movie a shot. I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm excited. It's the lone horror-ish kind of movie that's coming out this year that I saw anyway. That I'm actually looking forward to.
Was Halloween Kills supposed to come out this year, or is that next year?
Halloween Kills is supposed to come out this year, but I didn't care about the Halloween, the other one,
the remake, Halloween,
whatever, Halloween. I people gushed over it, but it wasn't for me.
I thought it was good, but I'm not a big Halloween fan.
Yeah,
I like them.
I mean. It's not like I'm a hater. I don't watch those Halloween movies expecting to hate them.
Yeah.
I want them to be good, but I just didn't care for whenever it was, 2018 or 17, whenever it came out, 2018.
I think A Quiet Place 2 is supposed to come out, but I haven't seen the first A Quiet Place.
I have. It's okay. I don't see why it needs a sequel, quite honestly. I thought it was a fine standalone movie. Yeah. I'm not sure why they need another one, but whatever.
I'm a big Marvel fan. I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No, you're not.
I don't know if they know, but I really do like it. I've seen the movies numerous times. Big fan. Me. So I was really looking forward to Black Widow last year, and it got pushed to this year. Hopefully, the news says that they're thinking about doing the premium thing that they did with Mulan for Black Widow, and I will pay $30 to watch Black Widow. I mean, I don't know.
I'll come over here and watch it because I'm not paying. It doesn't look good to me.
Let's do your house because you have a better TV.
Okay, it doesn't look good to me though.
So I'm excited for Black Widow. I'm not excited for the Eternals or Shang-Chi. I mean, I'll watch them, but they don't look as good. I don't know when those movies are coming out, but Black Widow looks really cool. We got
Morbius.
Oh man, Morbius looks horrible. Sony, you guys. Amy Pascal did right to give the rights to Marvel, but man, your Venom, Morbius, those movies.
Yeah, there's another Venom coming out this year, right?
Is the Venom 2? Oh, the Carnage one?
Yeah. Venom and another there's a Spider-Man 3, the next Spider-Man.
Does that come out this year?
I think so. Well, at least when I was looking through the list, supposedly.
So, Spider-Man 3 looks cool because they're bringing in Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man, and they're bringing in Doc Ock from the first one. So it seems like they're doing like a
they're bringing in Alfred Molina.
But
they're also bringing in Jamie Foxx
as Electro.
Interesting.
The rumors. So it seems like they're doing like a multiverse thing since that worked so well for Into the Spider-Verse, which is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
So I'm all about that. Like I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, super looking forward to Black Widow. It looks fun.
Yeah.
Taskmaster looks cool. Like that's a cool costume. I'm excited. And
does Taskmaster give people tasks to do, like the show?
Yeah, he gives Black Widow an egg, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna see. You have to get this egg on the roof.
Right. I don't know. When you say Taskmaster, I think of that panel show.
Yeah.
That we both kind of watched some of last year.
Oh man, that feels like 5 years ago.
I know it did, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
All right. What else is on your list?
So you're talking about Marvel movies. I'm talking about DC movies. Suicide Squad sucks, but I am interested to see what
Suicide Squad sucks.
No, you don't know that. I'm interested to see what the Suicide Squad is because it's James Gunn. I like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. You're a Marvel fan, but you don't like those movies.
I don't.
So I hopefully he can make a good film out of the Suicide Squad. I will give it a shot. And again, anything is better than Wonder Woman 1984 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna watch it.
I know.
I'm a big James Gunn
Just like
fan.
I'm going to watch Black Widow, even though I don't
Yeah.
I don't think it looks good.
I'm a big James Gunn fan. I'm interested. I'm wondering, and I don't know.
But you got to give it actually give it a shot. I'll give
will.
Black Widow a shot.
Oh, I will. I like Margot Robbie. I mean,
I'll turn my brain off.
I like Idris Elba. I think John Cena's fun in all the movies he does. Like I like the cast.
No.
I like King Shark. I think King Shark's cool. I'm wondering if James Gunn's stick now, and I don't know if this is true, but I wonder if he's going to do like jukebox movies now because that was so popular with Guardians of the Galaxy, and like the first Suicide Squad movie had a bunch of those needle drops in it, and DC movies so far, like with Birds of Prey, all have a bunch of needle drops, and I'm wondering if he's going to do a bunch of needle drops for Suicide Squad. I hope he doesn't, because I hope it kind of establishes a different tone, but
it
maybe
fit
it does.
with Guardians of the Galaxy because you had Peter's mixtapes, so that makes sense.
Yeah, awesome mix.
Peter Quill's mixtapes or whatever. But
Meredith.
But I mean, I don't want him to just shoehorn it in because that's his thing. I hope he doesn't.
I feel like that's what everyone's expecting, and
Probably.
James Gunn's a very good director and a very good writer, so I don't, I trust his taste and stuff like that, even though not all of his movies work for me. But that's what I'm worried about the most, is that it's just going to be Guardians of the Galaxy, but with DC characters. You have a bunch more than I do. Why do you have Godzilla versus Kong? I thought you hated King of Monsters or whatever it was.
No, I like that. I hated the first Godzilla. That movie puts you to sleep. But I thought Godzilla King of the Monsters was cool because it had like Mothra and those. I mean, it's, again, not the greatest movie of all time, but I had fun watching that. So I'm looking forward. And I didn't like Kong Skull Island.
Yeah,
I don't like Godzilla or Kong Skull Island, but I did like Godzilla King of the Monsters, and I do want to see those dudes duking it out. Definitely. I for sure want to see Godzilla versus Kong. I hope it's good. Better be good.
Is it?
Better be good.
I don't know who's directing it. Is it?
I have no idea either.
Yeah, neither. I feel like it's a director I should know who it is, but nothing's ringing a bell right now. I have on my list Last Night in Soho. That's Edgar Wright's movie.
Edgar Wright.
His horror movie. Edgar Wright's great. I'm with you. I will see anything he does. He's one of those directors I look forward to a lot. I wasn't the biggest fan of Baby Driver, but the Cornetto trilogy are a blast, and I probably like Sean Pilgrim. I like Scott Pilgrim probably the best of all the movies he's done, even though Shaun of the Dead is really good. I think Scott Pilgrim's like really, really, really well done. Like Edgar Wright's at the top of his craft with that movie.
Yeah, I think Shaun of the Dead is the best thing Edgar Wright's done. I did like Baby Driver quite a bit. I'm still a fan of that movie.
It's very jukeboxy too.
Well,
but
again, it needs
diegetic,
to be.
right?
He's listening to all his music. All right, so two Top Gun movies two Tom Cruise movies that are coming out this year. One is Top Gun, the sequel. I'm not the biggest Top Gun original movie fan. I mean, I think it's okay. It's a fun kind of 80s cheesy movie. But I'm interested to see kind of what they do now. What is it? This will be 25, or is it 25? 35 years later. Excuse me. I can't even add. It's 35 years after the original film.
I just don't see how it can be good.
Well, we'll see. And then Mission Impossible 7.
I mean, I love the Mission Impossible series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those. And then I think the movie that I'm looking for, I'm not even going to mention the last one. I think the movie that I'm looking the most forward to possibly is Dune. Because I like Denis Villeneuve. Yeah. And I actually have read the book Dune, and I thought it was fantastic. I read like the first 3 of the original 6 that Frank Herbert did. Sorry, I never got around to reading the last 3. But I think Dune is the best one that I read, at least out of the first 3, and it's really, really an awesome story. And the original movie by David Lynch is just terrible. So I really hope it's good.
The miniseries?
Maybe. I think I did. I thought it was better than the movie, but the movie's terrible.
I tried to watch.
The bar wasn't set very high.
I tried to watch the Lynch movie, and I think I made like 15 minutes in and just turned it off.
It's pretty bad.
And then there's that documentary about what
Jodorowsky's Dune. Yeah. I've actually not seen that documentary. I need to.
I mean, I think Denis Villeneuve is a great director. I mean, I love Blade Runner 2049. He did Prisoners. He did
Arrival. Right. Did he do Arrival?
Yeah, I think he did Arrival. But what was the other one? Prisoners and the Enemy. So yeah, I think he's a great director. I just don't. I don't know. There's nothing about Dune that looks captivating to me, but I will probably watch it anyways. What about, and hey, it seems like HBO is releasing all their movies on HBO Max anyway, so
yeah,
I have nothing else to watch. Is Matrix 4 coming out this year?
Supposedly.
Nope. Not excited for it at all.
Supposedly. Well, yeah, I mean,
think
after 2 and 3, I mean, I'm not excited for it either. I will see it though. I mean, I'm going to see it.
It has Neil Patrick Harris in it. I just don't see him in that universe.
It really? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well,
I love Neil Patrick Harris. I think he's awesome, but I can't see him in that universe at all.
We'll see. That's weird. I didn't know he was in it. Okay.
All right. Is that it?
Forward, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, if there's a movie that you're looking forward to this year that we didn't mention, or one that we mentioned, let us know. Leave a comment below if you're watching us on YouTube, or shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com. Also, if you have a viewer question you'd like us to answer on air, whether it's our preference on genres of movies or movies we're looking forward to, or all that sort of stuff, you can shoot us that question, realshame@gmail.com. Follow us on social media. We're at realshame on Instagram. And stay tuned next time as we pull a movie and we cross a movie off. It's your list next week. We cross a movie off of Andy's list of shame. And we'll see you soon, guys. Thank you.